We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us. Talking the 20-year anniversary, the memorials to be this weekend for these September 11th terrorist attacks. With us is News Channel 5 Programming Director Mark Binda, talking about that day. He was on air with me that day before things occurred, and we broke away from our coverage here on MorningLine, as we certainly should have. And we're just discussing our memories of it. Want to hear from you as well, and talking about maybe how that affected coverage of these types of events moving forward, because we had never seen anything like it. Mark, we have a call from Tom. I thought I'd squeeze him in real quick here. Tom, good morning. Hi, Tom.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
I've worked construction all my life, and by the way, I started my collegiate career at Vanderbilt University. The reason the World Trade Centers came down so easily was poor design. Bar joists. Do you know what bar joists are?
No. What is that?
Yeah. Well, they're an inexpensive steel, kind of like a girder system.
Okay.
That's the reason they went up so quickly. The problem with bar joist is heat. If they get extremely hot, they come down. They had some spray-on insulation on those things that was supposed to, but when those airplanes hit it, they blew all that off. They were supposed to be designed like the building that hit during the 1940s. That any building that went up was supposed to be able to take a hit. So it was poor design that brought them down. They don't build them that way anymore. The other thing is, let's talk about, I never was a big George W. Bush fan. The prisoners that are at Guantanamo Bay that confessed to doing it, they were tortured. They were waterboarded. The United States was torturing people. So that just throws out anything. You can get anybody to confess to anything if you torture them. So that's just dead in the water down there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I enjoy your program, and that's all I have to say.
Well, appreciate your call. And as far as, the construction, I don't know, Mark, how things have changed in terms of building, but how do you account for, a commercial airliner full of fuel slamming into a building? He may be right about the way it was constructed so quickly, but I don't know how you can say, well, we're going to build a building that is going to be able to withstand a direct collision from a commercial airliner full of airline fuel.
Yeah, and I wonder, if the terrorists knew about the construction and had ideas that this could happen. Who will ever know the answer to that?
We talked a little bit. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Most people may remember this or may not, but remember in 1993 they had attempted to bring down the World Trade Center that one time with bombs in the parking garage, and that plane was snuffed out. But yeah.
Yeah, so it can happen.
It wasn't the first time.
We talked with our prior guest about that, and I guess I had forgotten, but bin Laden did have some engineering background. I had heard reports initially that he knew this would do a lot of damage, but he was even surprised that it was to the scope of it that both towers came down. But maybe with his engineering, he was theorizing if they're full of fuel, there's a chance it'll go in there, ignite, and the towers will come down. But it's hard to know what. It would have been devastating had even they not come down, of course, but much worse with that. And the loss of life. So you get a sense, Mark, just, as you said, it was unprecedented, the coverage that followed it, because there was so much going on. But in the aftermath of that now, even as we sit here today, with regard to the way networks are set up and TV news coverage, even locally like us, are set up to prepare for these types of things, you can't expect them, but you can anticipate maybe something. Do you get any sense of what we maybe learned from that moving forward? And certainly there have been other significant developments. I think most locally for us was the Christmas Day bombing here in downtown Nashville. Obviously nothing of the scope of what happened September 11th, but that again caught a lot of people off guard, a massive explosion. How we respond to that. Did we learn anything? And have you seen any changes in the type of coverage over 2 decades?
Yeah, well, I think when a story is big like that and it affects, while it obviously affected New York and the Pentagon more, I mean, it is a story that affected every American. And I think when there's a story like that, that, we're going to probably go wall to wall. I mean, who knew on Christmas morning, we knew there was an explosion, but who knew what the guy's motives were, and would there be more bombs? And I think, we take our journalistic, I mean, we take our journalistic credibility seriously, that, we've got to, warn people, keep people safe, and maybe coverage goes longer than most people want at some point. It's like, oh, enough. But sometimes it's not enough. There's stories to be found, angles to be uncovered in a lot of these things. Unfortunately, Nick, with the amount of shootings we've had and natural disasters, it just feels like we have more of these breaking news days all the time now.
Yeah, it is. It's depressing at times. I'm wondering, too, if you can explain, as you said, there were some people wondering about programming even back on September 11th. But when the call is made at any TV station like ours that there's some event that we need to break away from programming, which involves network probing it, well, a lot of times, sometimes it is not our call when the network chooses to do it. Other times it is because we tell the network there's something of such magnitude here, we have to, like on Christmas Day, break away. Talk about just how that decision's made and what you have to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if it's a thing like September 11th or a school shooting that's in Connecticut or whatnot, those are network things, or the Boston Marathon bomber. When the network makes those decisions during network time, there isn't much we can do. I mean, people always say, why are you covering up Young and the Restless? Why aren't you running Young and the Restless? Well, the network's not feeding us a Young and the Restless to air because they are preempting it nationwide. Now, on something like a Christmas Day or the Waffle House shooting, another tragedy, where it is a local story, we will, if it, we can, we'll let the network know, hey, something's big going on here. We're probably going to be on all day for a couple of hours. Sometimes we can try and make a show good. Like if we know it's a really big episode of Survivor that night, I don't know what it would be. We might try and run it late night or something. I know like a couple times the Titans played some Thursday night games that we picked up locally, and we had to run The Big Bang Theory late night or on a Saturday. I think every situation is different, and it depends on the time of day and on the day too. I mean, obviously on a Sunday in the fall, you're dealing with football, which makes it really hard.
Sure. I mean, exactly. Well, let me real quick give you a chance to remind our viewers what will be airing this weekend. We'll be airing, I imagine, the memorial live from New York on the Plus. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, CBS has a special Friday night called The CIA and 9/11, and that'll be from 7 to 9 p.m. Friday night. And then we will have coverage, the full CBS coverage on this station, News Channel 5 Plus, from 7:30 to 10 on Saturday morning. And during our newscast on Channel 5, we'll obviously be breaking in to cover some of the key moments when they have the memorials, the ringing of the bells. I'm not exactly sure if Biden or somebody's going to speak, those kind of things. We'll certainly be covering those. And I can imagine, all through the weekend, there'll be obviously different programming with about that day. Yeah,
is the network going to blow out some of the other programming to go, you think, full coverage throughout much of the day, or is it going to be just, true newscasts
I don't
and the like?
sense it, because it's, I hate to say it, but it's a big college football day. Yeah. Not necessarily on CBS, but on the other networks. So I think you'll see a lot of coverage in the morning, and then, back to normal by 11 a.m. noon. Obviously, I think like a CNN or MSNBC may be on all day with different events.
Okay, well, good. I invite people to take note of that and watch it. It is interesting. It's been 20 years, Mark, and so, I mean, you and I both have, children who are older now. But I mean, was Jake even born at that point? I don't know how old Jake is.
No, Jake.
Yeah.
Jake was born in 2004.
Yeah, my son was, I think, 1 year old. I'm just saying, for a whole younger generation that didn't live through it or remember it, it certainly is a major piece of our history that needs to be acknowledged. And I know my son. I'm going to encourage him to watch it, and I'm sure Jake will, to check it out. And if you'll please tell Mona to watch it as well.
Yeah. By the way, have you noticed Mona's china cabinet behind me?
Very
Nick?
nice. Very nice. Tell her I said hi. Listen, Mark, thank you for joining us this morning. Remember, I'll always remember I was sitting next to you on that horrible day, my friend. Listen, you take care.
Yep.
All right. We'll take a break.
Nick.
Thank you,
Take
Mark. We'll be back with a programming note about tomorrow right after this.